Hello fellow leggers, thank you once again for joining us in London's West End. We are just down from Trafalgar Square at the Trafalgar Studios this evening.
And we are seeing the Philip Ridley play, considered a modern classic, Vincent River.
So stick around to hear all of our thoughts.
Find out how many stars and whether it's break a leg or leg it.
Well, it's quite nice on this little location. We've got Trafalgar Square just there. We've got a lovely little British phone box, red phone box here.
And we're here on the day that Theresa May has announced her resignation, and Downing Street is just there.
Just there. It's
I mean,
all going
a red
on.
bus has just gone past as a phone box. Couldn't get more British a
You're
location.
looking for drama. It's happening right here.
Yeah, and if you want to know London, this is London in a nutshell. I mean, Big Ben, all sorts is going on. But anyway,
Trafalgar Studios. We're going into
Trafalgar
studio
Studios
space.
2.
To Studio 2. Is it Studio 2 or Trafalgar 2? I've never been in this space. You have?
Yeah, for Hot Gay Time Machine, which we've got a review of. But it's around 80 seats. It's a really intimate. Really very intimate. And we're seeing Vincent River, a play by Philip Ridley. Philip Ridley, also the writer of Pitchfork Disney that we saw a couple of years ago at the Shoreditch Town Hall.
I know the name Philip Ridley. Philip Ridley, I did one of his very early plays when I was like 12, 13, 14.
Wow.
A children's piece called Sparkle Shark. So Philip Ridley, I know he's been around a long time.
Yeah, and he also wrote the screenplay for the Cray film, starring the Kemp brothers, Martin and Gary.
Okay.
Premiered originally in 2000 at the Hampstead Theatre. It's a two-hander story of a mother who's moved away in an attempt to escape the ghosts left behind in the wake of her son's murder.
Okay.
Now, this production made its premiere at the Park Theatre in March 2018 and is now transferred here for a limited run. Directed by Robert Chevara, both Louise, Jameson and Thomas Mahy reprised their roles of Anita and Davey from that Park Theatre production.
Okay, so it must have been good.
Yeah, some may recognise Louise Jameson from her roles as the fourth Doctor Who, Tom Baker's assistant, Leela in Doctor Who, and Rosa DeMarco on the TV soap EastEnders, but she's got many stage credits, including the Madness of King George at the third at the Nottingham Playhouse, and she's spent some time with the RSC. Now, I know you love it. You love it when it's a quick in and out. 85 minutes, straight through, no interval breakdown, so stick around to the end to find out all of our thoughts.
And how many stars?
We've come to the end of Vincent River. I mean, it's zippy if nothing else, but what did you think?
I mean, we were talking recently about the length of pieces, and we do enjoy it when it's 85 minutes straight through. I don't know what it is. I think when we're seeing theatre so often, sometimes it's nice just to know that you're
nice to get an early night, isn't it? I think we've reached that age now, but I think also it means in most cases the pace has to be there, doesn't it? If you've got a complete story to tell in a short amount of time,
we're going somewhere.
One thing you're guaranteed is that you're moving, at least, I think. But generally about this piece, go on, open it up. What did you think of the piece, first and foremost?
I thought it was interesting. I thought it was slightly predictable. I kind of sussed it out within the first 5 to 10 minutes. What the backstories were.
It is a bit of a guessing game. It's almost a sort of whodunit. What's the real story here? There's a bit of a hint of a mystery about it for the most of it, but you said that you didn't feel mystified.
No, I think it's more for me about dealing with grief, acceptance of yourself. There are these two characters who are facing the loss of dealing with loss, but in very different ways, and the piece is almost a vehicle of them discovering and fighting it. It's almost like two magnets repelling each other, and yet they need each other. And within that, there's some really nice writing. And I don't want to give too many spoilers, but there's a real intimate moment that I thought, you know what, I didn't quite see that coming, but I don't know if that would work, but the fact that I'm thinking it feels uncomfortable is a really nice piece of theatre. Yes, that could happen. And I'm buying into this.
I think this says a lot about, situations where two people are forced together by an unconventional situation, and as a result they end up doing or saying things that might, in any other situation, not happen. I mean, for example, I ended up in a relationship with the boyfriend of an ex-boyfriend. And because we both had an experience and shared an experience, it didn't end well for the both of us. And as a result, we ended up being together. It didn't work out, and these things rarely do. But I was made to think of those situations where trauma can force people together in a really unlikely way, which is ultimately also quite poisonous.
So the necessity, that people feel as if they need each other to deal with an experience, but ultimately that's not what they need.
Yeah.
But I see where you're coming from.
It's also,
so some interesting themes.
Yeah, I mean, it also speaks a lot about hate and hate crimes. And I mean, this year alone, hate crimes have risen in the UK by 17%, according to the programme. It's not just a statistic I have, although I am statistic guy. But, I mean, we're living in this sort of post-Brexit society where we feel it's okay to be xenophobic and to wear our hatred on our sleeves. And there's a lot of people in this country that are feeling like that right now. And I think this politically has something to say about them and about, you know, the wrongs and what we're allowed to get away with. I felt that the character of Davey at times, and what he was saying in this sort of poetic way, was speaking as somebody that says, do you know what, if we allow this to happen, then it means it can happen. And I felt like that about Brexit broken Britain.
I also feel as if he's dealing with a lot of internalised stuff, kind of reconciling with himself, not liking himself because of who he is and what he's done, and him not being able to speak out and have a voice. So some nice stuff from that character, Davey.
That being said, I did have real problems with an unevenness within the text. I had a problem with characters sort of being set up to be something that they weren't later on, and I felt that it didn't feel for me something that was considered.
When?
So, I mean, there were things where for one moment he couldn't remember the word for buffet. But the second moment, so he acted as like kind of a stupid person, and the next he's rolling things out like, oh, this is like the Spanish Inquisition, like it's just falling off his mouth. And I'm like, it didn't feel like a character choice in the writing, it just felt like sloppy writing at times. I didn't enjoy some of the characterization that was coming out of the text. I just found it so uneven.
Were there any other situations?
Yeah, there were a few, can't remember particular, and I don't want to give too much away, but I'd be interested to see if you spot them when you come along. But there were a few times when I was like, what is he? It just seemed to me like the writer didn't understand the character fully.
Okay,
that's how I felt.
I didn't get that,
okay.
But interesting you say that.
Yep.
The only thing if I was to pick a drawback, I think towards the end, when it got quite emotional, I felt as if I was given the emotion. It was there on stage, which then meant I wasn't drawn into it because it was being sold. It was da 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 da.
You don't like it when it's handed to you. You're all about the chase to you, aren't you?
Yeah, there's nothing left for our imagination or for us to feel anything.
I'd say that was directorial. Let's talk about the performances though,
and
what they were being asked to do. I don't think we'll spend a huge amount of time here. I've got to say that Louise Jameson is clearly an actress that can deliver, is what I would say. If you as a director tell her to do something, she's going to do it first time. That's how I felt about her.
You felt very comfortable.
First time, every time. I would
everything.
say that she's very reliable. And in a good way, not in a boring, safe way, just in a, I could tell what she was being asked to do, and she was delivering it with a punch.
She's a fantastic actress, and this character, she has these moments where she has these outbursts of almost intense rage, and it's not quite frustration because it's not high enough, it's intense anger. This kind of, the loss of a mother suddenly comes out that I imagine is being suppressed and buried, and it pops out from time to time, and those moments really in that small intimate space, her conviction to be in that moment, like you could feel the hairs on the back of your arms and your neck's kind of tingling. Think, gosh, she is there in that moment.
Raw emotion.
And this is intense stuff.
Great
so really nice writing and really well performed.
And then Thomas Mahy. I want to say Mahy, it might just be May, it's M-A-H-Y, you tell us, in the role of Davey, grew on me.
I thought he was good from the beginning.
Okay.
I really liked what he was doing with
like
it.
Unevenness of his characterisation, again, which I think may have come down to the text. In the beginning,
unevenness of characterisation I did not feel an unevenness.
I did to begin with, but by the end and by the time where he gets into his monologues and gets the real meaty stuff, I was completely invested by that point. But for me, it came much later into the piece.
And there's a lot of monologues. He carries a lot of the
latter
part of it.
I mean, they both have a huge amount of text.
She's probably heavier at the start, I think. So it kind of tips in its balance. but I thought it was great.
Let's talk about the Robert Chevara, director. Like I say, you didn't like the fact it was handed to you too much.
Just
it's
at the end.
Very small, intimate space. They moved a lot at the beginning. Like, I was a bit dizzy with movement. I wanted some more stillness, I think.
Didn't notice.
Didn't notice again. Am I
No.
just sensitive tonight?
No, didn't notice. Nice, intimate, small space.
Marty Langthorne on lighting design.
A real subtle lighting, which actually becomes very bold,
Intense, doesn't
and
it?
intense.
Yeah.
But in a very subtle way. I was almost
Subtle
thinking,
but intense, full
was
of
thinking-
contradictions.
I was thinking halfway through, God, there isn't much going on in terms of lighting, but it was going on in a very subtle way, to the point where it's so obvious and blinding that something's going on,
Yeah.
and then we snap back to reality.
Yeah.
So I actually thought that was some nice touches.
Great.
Tied into the set. Set design is also in there with the lighting.
Nikolai Hart Hansen for set and costume.
Okay.
Brilliant. So let's
Now,
round
there's not a lot
it
you
up.
can do because it's one static set,
Two
one
actors.
scene, happens in
Yeah.
real time.
Happens in real
From the
time.
moment they come in is when the time starts,
Yeah.
and from the moment it finishes is when the clock stops.
Mm-hmm.
So we're with them from start to finish for this encounter.
Nowhere to hide, is there? There's no chance to sort of hide behind a glitter curtain and a mirror ball.
And it's meant to be, and it's very much real life. What it would be, we're seeing it there. It's not theatre as such. We are watching them.
So let's wrap it up. For Vincent River, I bet you're wondering how many stars we are going to give. 3.
3 stars for this piece.
Yeah, I'm not going to think about it much, I don't think, after today. I thought for me, I think the text is a bit sticky. It's a little bit, like I say, uneven. I think it tries to say a lot, but some of it's sort of a little bit lost. I just wasn't over-hammered, and I think I would have liked to have been more touched. Reading the synopsis of what this play was about promised more than it delivered for me.
It's an interesting thing you say, touched. I felt as if there were some really good, intense performances. They were great. The concept of the piece is an interesting idea. These two people coming together with a backstory, not knowing each other and learning about each other and learning what they have in common and needing each other. But yeah, I wasn't touched either. And I think that's come the end. It was given to me. It was sold. It's very da-da-da-da-da-da, and I wanted to be drawn in, not hammered out.
I felt like we should have been more emotional than we were, so there must have been a missed opportunity. But hey, that's just what I think.
That's just what I think.
What do you think? I would say if you're looking to fit something in at like a quick 85, 90-minute piece, then this is good for that. Do you know what I mean?
I would say this is a good one to put on as well. If you're a student, or if you've got a studio, wherever you are, if you're interested in theatre and you have a studio space, this could be a good piece.
Pick up the text and see what you think.
It's quite meaty, 2 characters, older, younger,
well,
a diverse cast.
For you, maybe, I wouldn't revisit this.
But
that's just me.
But
anyway,
that's just what I think.
Yeah,
That's just what he thinks. What do you think?
We're the Breaker Leggers.
And we'll catch you again soon.
Bye.